There were concerns that the rolls were being purged in heavily progressive parts of New York. I don't know if there's any connection between those two things. What's going on inside the party, and how much of this, hand-wringing is just hyperbole that's being put out to characterize us poorly?
Well, Tom, I've put 700 miles on my car over the weekend in Virginia. Stopped at, I can't even remember, 20, 25 different venues, and I never once was asked about down in Brazil.
Yeah.
What I was asked about is how do we move forward and win Tuesday. We've had an unprecedented ground game in Virginia, unprecedented partnership, remarkable unity. You remember there was a primary there, and people tried to write the story, oh, my God, it's going to be another proxy battle. And here's what turned out in the primary. Tom Perriello and Ralph Northam ran a spirited campaign on the issues. It was a high-road campaign, and when Tom didn't win, he immediately pivoted to endorse Ralph, and that spirited campaign resulted in record turnout. Now look at the run-up to the election today. Twice as many, over 1 million door knocks during the course of the GOTV effort, twice as many as Terry McAuliffe 4 years ago. And Terry did a great job, more than the Hillary campaign. Fairfax County this morning, the concern there is that they're running out of ballots. That's a good concern. They're going to get more because we've been able to turn record turnout. The focus for everybody I met this weekend was how do we make sure that we don't have a Donald Trump clone in Virginia? How do we make sure we get access to health care? How do we make sure that people get a quality public education? How do we continue the economic development under Governor McAuliffe? And that's the same thing folks are hearing in New Jersey. They want movement forward. And my singular focus has been on building a Democratic Party that leads with our values, that is inclusive and wins elections. And I think we're poised to do well in a number of key races today.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said, and I think it's marvelous that you have, done such a, you're doing a great job pulling this party back together, and broadly speaking, there's a lot to do, but I don't think we can be like Republicans in climate change and just not discuss this. This is a problem inside the Democratic Party right now, where you've got people who are losing their enthusiasm because they're concerned that the party is not necessarily always representing their interests. I'm saying this in a very poor fashion, Tom, but
no, hey, Tom, I get your point, and we have. I'll be the first to admit that we have to earn the trust of everybody, and I'll be the first to admit that the DNC didn't put its best foot forward in 2016, and because of that, we have trust gaps, and we've got to. Trust isn't something you get because you win an election. It's something you have to earn. And the first thing I did, you may recall, when I had the privilege of getting elected, is I asked Keith Ellison to join me because it wasn't about Keith or Tom. This was about making sure the Democratic Party is together. And that's been my North Star every day. How do we lead with our values? How do we get back to our basics? We stopped organizing on a regular basis. We were good at mobilizing, that sprint to the finish line, but we stopped building those long-term relationships with voters. And our renewed commitment to organizing, our new motto is every zip code counts. Our new mission statement is we're here to elect Democrats up and down the ticket from the school board to the Senate. That's why I was campaigning over the weekend with House of Delegates candidates in Virginia, because the best way to flip the House of Representatives in Washington is to flip more state legislatures so that we don't get hammered in redistricting. And so I know we have more work to do. And that is my North Star every day, leading with our values, making sure that everyone feels like the Democratic Party reflects their values and is every single day ensuring that people get a fair shake and making sure that the 2020 election cycle is fair for everybody.
Yeah.
We fell short on that in 2016. I wasn't here during that period, but I own the consequences of that.
Yeah, and you're doing
I
a very good
accept
job
that.
of that, Tom. And if I may, just one more uncomfortable conversation, and then we can talk about the wonders of all the Democratic
Sure.
candidates out there. But we haven't talked in a week or three. And a week or so ago, the DNC expelled a couple of, shall we say, Bernie favoring members and replaced them with, shall we say, Hillary favoring members for lack of, shorthand. And one of those guys who got kicked out was James Zogby. This has generated, I think, more commentary in the fora that I frequent than a lot of things. What was this all about?
Jim Zogby, it's interesting. Jim Zogby was an at-large member of the DNC, and Jim Zogby is still an at-large member of the DNC. Tom, I reappointed him. And when you look at the new list of at-large delegates, the DNC chair, when he or she first comes in, has an opportunity to appoint 75 at-large members of the DNC. The way it used to be done was we had it was a closed process. The chair would go into his or her room, come out with a list of people, here you are, accept it. What I did this time was I actually put out a call for people who were interested in doing it. I asked for suggestions. We created a process so that people could offer recommendations, and we got hundreds of folks who expressed interest. I frankly would have been a lot more concerned, Tom, if nobody was interested.
Yeah.
And so we had a supply and demand issue. Jim is still on the DNC as an at-large member. And what's remarkable and what I'm very proud of is we have the most diverse slate of candidates ever. We doubled the number of millennials. We've dramatically expanded the number of Native Americans so that for the first time we can have a Native American council, which has not existed on the DNC. We have the largest union representation that we've had in decades because we were actually losing union representation, and I didn't understand that. We've got to have our labor unions' backs. And so we appointed a remarkable slate. Now, when you get 300 people interested in 75 slots, or however many people we had, obviously there's going to be more people disappointed than not.
Right.
And that's a consequence of opening up the process. I'm glad we opened up the process. It gave us enviable dilemmas. We have a dreamer on the DNC, and she just graduated from college, first in her family to do that. She'd love to have that bright future. She has a bright future, but we've got to fight for her. And I thought it was really important to have somebody like Ellie on the DNC. And so, again, when you have a supply and demand problem like we had, yes, you're going to disappoint some people. But if you look at and I never looked at this before I made decisions, but after I heard the concerns, I asked my team to go and look at the list and ask of the at-large appointees
Tom,
who supported Keith, who supported Tom, and guess what? It was almost identical.
Is the Thom Hartmann Program.
Tom, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear the music. I don't think you could either. Well, Tom Perez, the chair of the DNC. Tom, thanks so much for being with us.